Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, and it is on. Joe Ostrowski with us on the Wester Hotline. Joe, how excited are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm thrilled, man.
Let's go.
It's awesome. I said goodbye to the family for the next 5 months. I'll be in the basement. It's finally here. Get this saying the same things. The other day, our producer said, I'm not telling you guys to disagree, but, you're agreeing on a lot. I'm like, yeah, we've been talking about the same stuff for 3 months. Let's get it going already.
Yeah. What has been our, biggest point that we've argued about? You know what it might be?
Vanilla
ice cream. Well, it always could be food, but I think it might be that Bulldog holds the Bills' offense more in contempt for how last season ended than I do. Because I look at these Chiefs games in the playoffs, Joe, I mean, not to sort of move the goalposts by including previous years. I guess maybe I'm guilty of that. But, they have never intercepted Mahomes. They couldn't stop him, and Kansas City had a brutal year. And when we talk about this, you usually come back to me with how the game ended.
They've had the ball around midfield or better, around the 2-minute warning or a little less, with a chance to score and take the lead and maybe even win the game if they play the clock right. And both years they didn't come through. In the first time around 2 years ago, they missed a field goal that would have tied the game. But still, they had an opportunity. And I sort of feel like even though offense has not been as explosive the last couple of years after that early when Mahomes showed up and then Allen hit in 20 and it just seemed like, oh my God, the sport is going to be, they're going to need new scoreboards to try to keep up. Even though it's not that league right now, I still feel like if I'm any team and I'm playing Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and they've got the ball at my 35 with 1:20 left and need a touchdown to beat me, I'm dead. Yeah. And I sort of feel like Allen should be held to that same standard. That's all. It's just a little bit of a pushback. I'm certainly not down on him at all, but he has not come through in spots a couple of times where I think you would expect Mahomes to. And now that can shine the light on the Bills' defense too, right? Because part of my expecting the Bills to not come through there and stop Mahomes in that situation is, because I've seen it happen. But I don't know. I think the best quarterback should come through in that situation for his team a couple times.
Yeah, and maybe you understand on some level, okay, it's unfair, but for it to happen, to beat that guy on the other side, this is our world. We're in the AFC. We've got at least 3, maybe even more elite quarterbacks at the very top, and you're going to have to beat a couple of them if we want to get a championship in this era. We're blessed with a great quarterback, an all-time quarterback probably, but to get to that level, this is what you have to do. You have to match that guy. And, I could see why some would view it as being maybe a little unfair, but, do you want a championship or not?
That's what it takes. Right. Joe Ostrowski, co-host with Sam Panayotovich, Bet Sweats on the BetMGM network, weekday mornings 9 to noon on the Bet 1520 and on the Odyssey app. If I am correct from having watched your show, regularly lately, you and Sam are both inclined to have a team playing Sunday night in the Super Bowl this year, and not a team playing on Friday night.
Oh, as far
Bills and Ravens.
Yeah, I'm not willing to sit here and say that the Chiefs are not going to be in the Super Bowl.
Okay, I thought you had Baltimore.
Yeah, I would lean that way. Honestly, I haven't even taken a hard stance.
Okay.
I found myself earlier this week, and it's probably a losing proposition, just trying to figure out which teams can take down those top 3, which all seem to improve in the offseason. And that's part of what's so challenging here. Yeah. If you're going to take a stand on one of them, hey, you know what? These other 2, they got pretty good in this area or that area. I've been trying to figure out, and I don't love to do this, but okay, which defenses can take down these quarterbacks? Should we just limit it to the top 3, or are we going to expand this conversation? And Denver has been super popular. Maybe not on the level of those teams, but do they have that ability to be the same defense they were? Can Bo Nix take another step? Another team that seemed to improve in the offseason. A year ago, we have this talk, and everybody's talking about the Texans. And now they seem to be forgotten about completely. Is the quarterback play going to be closer to what we saw last year or a couple of years ago? I mean, keep in mind last year, all those receivers end up going down. I've been thinking a lot about that. Baltimore has been very popular with a lot of respected minds in the sports betting space. And I think just the football space in general. And I get it, but I also look at it and say, I don't know that they're that much better than everybody else. I don't see why there is some separation between them and Kansas City, tiny separation between themselves and the Bills. Just look at the point spread this week. If I were to take a stance right now on the AFC side, I would probably go Kansas City.
You could wait. You could wait until Friday night, and if they lose, do it. 2 years ago, they lost the opener.
That would be
Kelsey
a really good time. Right.
You could try that.
Yeah, the Chiefs have been challenging to me all offseason, Joe, because on one hand, and really you could say this about any of the big three in the AFC, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Ravens. Like, is it going to last forever? Like, is one of these teams going to have – Baltimore's had a couple of dips. There was an injury year there where they were kind of messed up here during Jackson's career. But the Bills and the Chiefs have just been, upward and then plateauing mostly here for 5 or 6 seasons. So on one hand, I think it can't last forever. Come on, Chiefs, right? How about just an 11-6 season, for crying out loud already? And then on the other hand, I think with as bad as their offense has performed for a couple of years running now, there's like a 5,000-yard, 50-touchdown MVP, screw all of you, Mahomes season out there on the horizon somewhere, and maybe this is it.
That's my concern. And I know we have a suspension dealing with early in the season. Okay, who cares? Whatever. We know that they're going to be fine getting through that patch. And then in the middle of the year, they might have 3 scary weapons, something that they have not had recently. Yeah, I'm not willing to say, well, that Mahomes that we've witnessed in the past, that guy's not coming back. He can't. And like you alluded to, they've been winning in the playoffs due to that defense, and I don't think that's going away. And you have that brain power, and they improved with the coaching, and they improved as well. I get it with Baltimore. And in Baltimore, they're saying the exact same thing, if not now, when? And it's not just a Lamar conversation. And then they go out and they really add to that secondary. If Jair Alexander's ever going to stay healthy, they just hang out in the draft, and they get the best safety in the draft. Defensive coordinator a year ago at this time was a concern. Now it's not anymore at all, because we saw what Zach Orr could do. And the offensive coordinator that some people flirted with to become a head coach, he returns as well. So it just feels like everything went Baltimore's way in the offseason. So I think that's why a lot of people are there. And myself, hand up, maybe they've been burned by the Bills, because I do feel like I've been burned by the Bills.
The Ravens have a slew of win the offseason banners and even win the regular season banners, but can they win the postseason for once? Joe Ostrowski with us here on WGR. So you mentioned the line being pretty much airtight for this game Sunday night, but it has moved toward the Ravens here recently from +1 or 1.5 to -1 or 1.5. I wonder if it's the questions about the Bills at corner and or even safety that have accounted for this. I can't think of anything else that would have, other than, some sports book related, like a Bulldog said earlier, a big bet or something that might have accounted for that. But
Sure.
What's your read on it? If this game's in Baltimore, or like the Bills a 4-point underdog, I'd have a tough time believing that.
Yeah, I would too. My first reaction when seeing this earlier in the offseason, I'm like, oh, really? Okay, so Buffalo opened the favorite, and everything has been leaning towards Baltimore. Buffalo at home as an underdog, I know they're barely an underdog. It's basically a pick 'em with this line. But still, I would just say automatically I'm going to take Buffalo at home. What I think, just it's a lot of people that are in on Baltimore this season. And they're looking at the offseason, and they think, okay, maybe this is Baltimore's time. A lot of time in week 1, people will push matchups to the side a little bit, and they're going with confirmation bias. Like, look, I believe in Baltimore this year. that means they're winning. They're going to win and cover in week number 1. Well, that's not really how this works. The Super Bowl winner, as you just mentioned, could end up losing outright in week number 1. So I think that's part of it. And then also, you go back to that playoff game, the Ravens won the box score, except for one category, the turnover margin. In yards per play, total yards, all that, everything was heavy in that way and to the Ravens side. And I think part of that is on people's minds as well. But the reality is it's certainly notable, and it is in my world, Baltimore being a road favorite at Buffalo, and there's movement that way. However, I wouldn't say that it doesn't really matter, because until you get to 2 and 3, I mean, it's basically a conversation of who's going to win the game. When you're sitting around 1 and 0, movement around those numbers don't mean a ton.
Yeah. Are we still working off a premise where home field is 3? I feel like that's maybe taken some hits, but I'd like an update from you as we're starting a new season here.
Definitely not. 3 is a no-go for anybody, and I'm talking about like you guys. You guys have one of the biggest home fields in the NFL, and that's not viewed as 3. The high ones were closer to 2. I mean, there are some out there, I'd have to think a little bit about it, but there are some that are not far off of neutral, guys.
Yeah.
Like maybe 1. Like you look at the Raiders, teams that travel, like where I'm at, Chicago, if they're playing out there, or Bills fans are going out west or something like that. And it ends up being close to split. Or you have some places where it just doesn't get all that loud. And the home field is like maybe 1, maybe a point now in some spots. So that's always interesting. Back in the day, Seattle used to be massive. There are certain spots, Kansas City, of course, Arrowhead, bigger home field. But even the biggest home fields, Bulldog, are not at 3 anymore.
Yeah. The last time the Bills were in Seattle, I remember their broadcast crew, I think we even talked to one of them, talking about how they can't believe how many visiting fans are in the seats in Seattle now. I think that's just something that's happened post-COVID, maybe even before COVID. I mean, just the availability of tickets. Like fans, if you want to pay, you can get it to any game you want. So like more visiting fans travel probably more than ever now.
Yep.
With Joe Ostrowski, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. The opener tonight, Dallas at Philadelphia. I don't know if it's best for the league, if it was perfect how this fell to have the biggest spread of the week be in this game. Great rivalry. It's Dallas. They kind of own these Sunday night games. This is a Thursday, of course, but still. But, of course, Micah Parsons being traded has added to that. Philadelphia up to 8.5. I think I heard you say this morning that you're not sure you want to give that many points here, that maybe Dallas a little bit. What's your lean?
Yeah, I'm not going to make a play on the side, picking a side, to be quite honest. But one thing that I noticed, the Micah Parsons movement, that's, huge. Before that trade all summer, this is 6, and I'd say 7 at most spots, but it was 6.5 before the deal. And now we're 8.5. I think we all know that Parsons is not worth that much to the point spread. But all day, the over is taking money. I get it. I understand where they're coming from, but now I'm looking, BetMGM is 48.5. Earlier this morning, it was 47.5. It was 46.5, 47 throughout much of the offseason. So that is certainly taken a hit, and I think a big part of that is a healthy Dak. We haven't seen him in quite some time. He gets another weapon in Pickens. People are curious about how that's going to go. If it's a game where it's a runaway with Philadelphia, Dallas is still probably going to get their points, garbage time points, in the second half of the game. You think of all the explosive offensive weapons for both teams in this game. So I think that contributes to why we're getting a highish total here. And, that Eagles defense, Vic Fangio, phenomenal job a year ago, but it's what happens when you win the Super Bowl. You end up losing a lot of depth. A lot of guys go in free agency. You lose Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, a number of guys in the secondary. So when it comes to Philadelphia, they'll obviously be fine tonight. But over the course of the season, guys, once injuries start to pile up, I do worry about that defense in the second half of the season. But as far as tonight, I think a higher scoring game, but plenty of times we've seen teams come out to slow starts. The last few years, Dak, he hasn't thrown for 200 yards in any of his last 3 season openers. But I was looking at Ferguson He was 33.5 for the yardage there. So I think that would be an interesting look going over the middle of the field on the Philly defense.
I think I read that this is the biggest underdog ever for Prescott in a division game. 8.5 points in his career.
A lot.
So, I mean,
it's a lot. You think back to some of these other Thursday night openers, guys. Like, we've seen point spreads similar to this. I want to say Tampa Bay Dallas was very close to that, and Tampa Bay just got by.
Yep.
Dallas ended up covering that. A couple years ago, Detroit pulls off the upset. Weren't they around touchdown favorites in that one, KC?
Probably.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I remember talking about whether Detroit even belonged in the game.
Yeah.
And then they went in and won it.
Kelsey missed. He was a healthy, or not
right.
a healthy scratch, but he was inactive for that game.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of your favorite futures, Joe, before you go. There's still time for us to place these.
Yeah, certainly. As far as I'll just run through some. As far as divisions, I've found myself to really like the Jaguars. They're better than 3-1 to win the AFC South if Cohen can pull that off. I'm not with everybody on the Bucs. I could be very wrong on this. It seems like it's a consensus that the Bucs are great and they're going to run away with it. Don't worry about losing Liam Cohen. I'm not there, but I have been wrong on the Atlanta Falcons many times before. I think there's upside there with Penix, and maybe they finally got a pass rusher out of the recent draft. Mike, I was thinking about you the other day with this Packers move. Is it finally the year for Love? For MVP,
it's the kind of bet I like. You know, it's not. He's not a favorite. I would have liked it more before Parsons, but my thing on Green Bay is this the year where they finally push it. Like they just don't. They don't really have to. They play slow, and their defense is good, and it's Josh Jacobs. Like they're paying Love like he should be somebody that can carry them. Now they've drafted a receiver in round 1. Yeah, I like it, and what a way to start. Home to the Lions. I mean, it's kind of perfect for them to announce themselves if they're capable of it. I want to see them, though, just sort of turn up the pass rate over expected this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't get – there's a lot of – you guys are seeing all the predictions. Like, ever since the Parsons move, they're the trendy pick to go to the Super Bowl and represent the NFC. And I think that's just – a product of people don't know what to do with the NFC because we can poke holes in just about every team up top. And, you know, I've been one of those people. I can't get there with Green Bay, but I understand if that becomes an over-the-top move for some people. Offensive Player of the Year, I mentioned liking the Jaguars. I think Brian Thomas, this could be a breakout year for him. 35-1 for him for Offensive Player of the Year. You know, Coach of the Year, sure, I can make a case for maybe Pete Carroll if the Raiders have a good season. The same thing for, you know, Liam Cohen, of course. But if I'm going down the board, I think the Giants are going to be okay. That pass rush is scary.
Yeah.
They add they had more weapons on offense, like 30-1 for Dayball. We know he's won this award and he could get that New York bump. Like, he's a guy that certainly stands out. And speaking of the Giants, if Dart gets an opportunity sometime soon,
oh baby,
maybe he ends up being your offensive rookie of the year.
Oh baby. I listened to your conversation about Coach of the Year this morning. I wanted to throw Sean Payton's name in too, because like if they have players and if they can beat Kansas City in that division, that could be enough. Even though they were in the playoffs last year, that could be enough for him. He's obviously got the reputation, 14-1 thereabouts. So I'd like him for that. But here in New York, there's only so much we can do. I know you mentioned us this morning. I feel bad for the guys in Buffalo. I was texting with Sam. I just went to Louisville and across into Indiana, like, oh, let's go. And just threw money at Kittle, Offensive Player of the Year, which is probably madness.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. We'll see. Give me a story at least.
We both like to lose bets, Joe.
That's our favorite thing to do, is drive 500 miles and lose bets. That's my passion.
Woo!
Great to have you back on, Joe. Good luck tonight and this season. We'll talk next week.
Of course. Looking forward to it, guys. Thank you.
Joe Ostrowski, the host of Bet Sweats with Sam Panayotovich, who will be on with us tomorrow. Check out their show weekday mornings 9 to noon on the Bet 1520 here in Buffalo or on the Odyssey app. I love to lose bets.